All right, there it is. There it is. There it is, world. What's going on, world? There it is, man. It's crazy because I got to sit there and troubleshoot my microphone. I got to make sure my space is good. I'm running the plastic ducts in the background. We doing all the if, ands, buts, and maybes, whatever. You know what I'm saying? We're doing all that. We're taking care of business. The clock in this particular room, it's a small meeting room right here, but the clock in this particular room, it's actually off. I think I'm wrong. Am I wrong on that? Yeah, it's a little bit off, and that's fine because I got the plastic duck simulator going, and I got the clock right here. So we not gonna say multitasking, but we multi-utilizing. Hey man, this podcast episode is sponsored by Fuel Coffee and Books. Fuel Coffee and Books. Shout out to my trans and gay community. If you want to get some trans and gay stickers over there, they got that shit over there, man. They also got some forbidden books. Forbidden books, I think a lot of it is just stuff that has either been banned or um, it's looked at a certain way, to my understanding. I don't really know. So I would look into that myself because knowledge is power, but power in the wrong hands and the wrong forms of power could you never know, right? Because you got shit like the Anarchist Cookbook. Anarchist Cookbook exists, and that gets into the wrong hands, and the wrong shit will happen. This motherfucker swinging the doors on the truck. Yo, I'm trying to, it's fucked up, man. There's a lady who went to the little coffee shop a while ago, man. She was looking real right, had the right heels and jeans and everything, man. I was like, damn, bro, what's going on? What's this about? What's that about? It's about something. It's about something. Listen, man, I'm over here doing the what do you call this? I'm gonna hit the chapstick on the side real quick. I'm over here what do you call this? Had to troubleshoot my microphone because I've been having issues lately. Past couple of days, man. I don't know how to explain it. Give me a sec. I'm trying to get that shit out. Burt's Bees, man. Podcast brought to you by Burt's Bees. Um, Also another thing, man. That's kind of random. There's these kids that be showing up to tabletop village and shit, and like when they're talking to me, they just be having chapped lips, and I'm like, damn, what the like? It's cold. You guys don't take care of that shit. It's cold outside. What are you guys doing? But some kids just be looking like that. But they just be living life. They don't care. They be having kids be bleeding and they don't care. This shit is funny as hell. I shouldn't say it's funny, but I was like that as a kid, as a little kid. But these are people who are like, oh, I guess they're kind of like teenagers, but they're like borderline kid teenager age. But I was like, you gotta take care of yourself, man. What the fuck? It's cold out here. Motherfuckers out here chafed up, whatever the fuck, chapped up, whatever. And it's like, damn. Anyway, that's a whole nother conversation. Um, that should just be cracking me up because I'm like, my niece was the same way. My niece used to have like Cheeto crumbs and shit when she was a baby. She used to have like Cheeto crumbs and just like just random food, like just having random like rice on her face and just talking to us. And we're like, where's your napkin? Go get your punas. Get the punas. Wipe it up. Like, what's going on here? What's going on? And it's like the funny thing is these aren't my kids, so I don't know how to talk to them. I don't want to be mean. Like, hey, you got to go clean your face. I don't want to be. You want to talk like that's. I'm so used to talking to my family. We're pretty rough on each other. Pause. What I'm saying? We were pretty rough on each other. I don't know if it's right or wrong, but it just was what it was, dog. Some people with the toxic play, some not. That's the fucked up thing. That's the fucked up reality about this, man. It's the fucked up reality about it, man. Anyway, mic troubleshooting. So after I record this, I'm gonna have to double check, double back, and double check and make sure everything is good with the recordings and stuff. I think so. Here's the thing. There was one specific recording where I talked about the reason why I had the suit on and shit like that. Ooh, let me fluff this joint up. But the point I'm making is when I discussed it, I was saying, hey, I'm gonna try to get the suit stuff out the way. I think I'm gonna wear the suits at the bigger conference room. When I get access to the bigger conference room, I'm gonna come through, fit it up, you know what I'm saying, get that conference room, have my suit on, and just make sure I, perform, do my little duties recording wise in that specific room with the suit. But I also mentioned I have these crew necks. So in the coming weeks, I have these crew necks here. You can't see because I'm pinching the thing, but it's University of South Florida, the Bulls. I got this crew neck when I was down in Tampa, Florida, that is, and Every place I visit, I get like a crew neck or a hoodie. When I was in El Paso, I got a hoodie, so I'm gonna try to knock out those hoodie ones where I just got the hoodie and I'm just talking and doing the recordings and stuff. But other than that, man, we're doing this right here. We're doing this right here. This one right here. Hey, man, before we get into it, because this is, university based, or, like I said, we are having access to university spaces and places. I want to discuss with you guys quite simply, very simply, the university mindset. We only have but so little time or whatever. Here, let's get to it, man. University mindset. So, as I check my numbers, we are on. And I think goddamn, I wrote that thing huge. What the fuck? I might have to, boom, double back. I'm not used to using this whiteboard. Here we go. 228. TTH 228. I just want to see how it translates on the thing. Yeah, the TTH is big. Pause on that, man. TTH, man, the Truancy are 228. I believe we made it. We made it to 228, man. And I thought I was going to sit there and kind of slow down around 25, if not 50. And like we're getting closer to 50, and I realized I have enough university fits in time to utilize. So I think we'll be good. But it's less about that and more about, just staying, whatever, moving, And the way my brain is, I'm all over the place. My brain is all over the place. The other aspect about it is this whole conversation about Bluetooth headphones and signals going to and from the phone to your ears, to and from your phone to the satellites, things like that, and how it may or may not be unhealthy. And I'm like, I think it's leveling me up. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I actually think it's bad to some degree, but if you go through something bad, I mean, you're gonna kind of level up, if not evolve or adapt. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I think we're just gonna turn into like very in tune blue, because the thing is, people will say, oh, the Bluetooth is probably robbing my intuition. It's like, I think there's some truth to that, but I think you can also tap into it and see if you can't tap in other people's intuition, because I literally will be talking about people and then they'll show up like in person. Now in the workplace it makes sense because you're in the workplace, but like just in general, I'll think about people, they'll reach out to me, I'll think about people, I don't know where I'll run into them, just little shit like that, just little shit like that. So I don't think my intuition and my connection to God is sullied at any point, but I will say it probably is affected. You know what I mean, for better or for worse. But we'll see how this plays out. It's the convenience. I think if we want to be true, we're just gonna admit the convenience of Bluetooth is missing, or we would be missing the convenience of Bluetooth. So anyway, university mindset. Sorry, like I said, my brain be all over the place, trying to get stuff done. We get access to these university spaces and places. You understand? When you have access to it like I do, for me, it brings me a sense of peace and wisdom. You get some knowledge here, right? It's a place of knowledge, peace, and just understanding. Like when you have access to the space, man, what does that mean? That means, whether you're in the libraries, the conference rooms, the meeting rooms, rooms like this that you can reserve and just sit there and, I'll be locked in here for about the next hour and a half, 2 hours. That clock is wrong. You over here get a sense of peace and wisdom. So my thing is, when I do these truancy hours, because I'm here within this mindset, this mind state, if you will, right or wrong, I want to impart the same wisdom on you. Now, I know for one that, like, whether a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, I probably won't feel the same way. I probably won't even talk the same way that I'm talking right now. I'll probably be speaking in Japanese. Let's tell the truth about it. I'm probably going to be speaking in Japanese. Kudasai, konbanwa. You know what I'm saying? Be hitting with that. I'm on that Duolingo. I'm 22 days in. I just did a little 15 battery thing outside before I walked up in here. You know what I'm saying? I was like, hey man, the room's not open till 10 o'clock. Let me just hit it for like 2 minutes. I got my 2 stars on my final testing in the Duolingo on the third whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting the gold. Got the green and the gold. Yeah. Yeah, man. So I'm be speaking like that. Jane, I'm out, bruh. I'm out. You know what I'm saying? I'll be talking like that. I'm be talking like that. But anyway, the point I'm making is I may or may not agree with who and what I am in this era, but I do have a sense of wisdom and positivity that I want to impart and put it out there into the universe. So when I say university mindset, when I do these university mindsets, it's gonna last now until forever. I'm in this mindset now of just locking in. So that's why when you get these videos in this moment in time that are based around this time period between, I believe, the start of fall when I told myself I would stop the live streams, specifically the live streams of Truancy hours when I was outside. I was going to start to just be indoors more often. Excuse me. Obviously, where it's more warm, get a better stationary situation for the camera and the microphone. And from there on, just moving forward and creating these truancy hours. And I was like, no, let's be very intentional with this, because we did 200 episodes where we're outside fucking around, being self-motivational, staying on our toes, just literally moving around. Summertime, beginning of fall. And I was like, let's stay locked in. Let's do something a little more slightly educational, or just where my mindset is at currently. So this is where I'm at, this university mindset kind of conversation. University mindset is very important to me, because you got to understand, it's like a lot of people go to colleges, community colleges, universities, vocational institutes, technical colleges, you understand? Culinary schools, art schools, you name it, all the et ceteras. People go to these places to start to certify themselves. Once you start certifying yourself, excuse me, I'm looking at the windows, I'm just monitoring my surroundings here at the same time. I'm just one of those. I got to bop, bop, bop. So, people get these certifications and degrees, basically. Get them certifications, you get them degrees, right? And there's nothing wrong with being a certified surgeon, because you don't want some random person claiming to be a surgeon because they certified themselves. No, you want someone who was actually tested and can really prove themselves, obviously, right? That's what you want. That's what you need to get. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my guy, Ryan Flippin, over here in the live chat. You know what I'm saying? So if he sees this video, shout out to Ryan Flippin, man. Shout out to you. I see you in the live chat on the duck chat right now. But this is being recorded back in 12/19/2025. Yeah, I had to do the. I was like, damn, it's 12/19 already? That's crazy. But check this out, man. You understand the degrees of things in your life that you have already went through, survived, withstood. You understand certain things in your life that you have already, you understand? You've powered through it. You also understand a threshold of things that you will no longer tolerate. That's another important part. You understand a certain level and threshold of things that you will no longer tolerate. You understand that very well, better than a lot of other people, because it's your life, it's your body. You understand what your body can tolerate, can or can't tolerate, excuse me, and you understand what your soul can and can't tolerate. You understand that, and you understand a lot of the things you've been through up to this point. You understand it better than everyone else, because you're living in your body. It's your soul witnessing it through your eyes. It's your soul experiencing this feeling. You understand? You understand all the degrees of those things. You understand the degree of things you will no longer tolerate, or you could just simply withstand if necessary. Because sometimes you got to go through certain things to get through certain things. When you start to know better, you start doing better, all the et ceteras, right? And this is not to recognize yourself in a very egotistical way, but just in a positive way. Just really start recognizing things in your life that, you know, your pluses and minuses. A lot of us have deficits. As you can see, I'm easily distracted at times. It's hard for me to focus, so I have to really intentionally lock in sometimes. People say that this ADHD. I've never been diagnosed, so I don't want to disrespect people who have had ADHD their whole lives, but who the fuck knows? I might have that. It might just be a lack of coffee, or the fact that I'm starting to drink coffee in the morning and I just had like a fucking almond croissant with almond paste inside. She was like, yeah, it's got the double almond paste at the bottom and the top. I was like, what's that? I said, what's this croissant? Why does that shit look like it's open? Like it was like cut in half and it got some shit inside. I said, what's inside? She said, almond paste, top, bottom. And they got the almonds on top and they got the powder on it. You know what I'm saying? I'm over eating the little powder almond outside before I walked in this room. And I got the powder all on me. I had a black hoodie on, man. I had the black hoodie on. Hey, man. It's that peace. Talking peace right here, man. Shout out to my guy Bakari. Shout out to my guy Bakari. This is his brand, the basics. Back to the basics right here. But I had that on. Got that shit on. Got that shit on, bruh. But check this out, right? Because you understand the degrees of those things in your life up to this point, and even moving forward, because you understand the degrees of those things in your life, you can start to certify yourself. Simply certify yourself as a human being. Start certifying your soul. You understand? Validating your soul, not in an egotistical way, but just really start validating your soul. Like, I really You know what I'm saying? I deserve to live. Some people have a hard time trying to live, simply live. Some people have a hard time living. Some people have a hard time living with themselves. Some people want to off themselves. And it's just like, no, start certifying yourself as a human being. You went through all that, and here you are now, still breathing, still able-bodied, all limbs. Your brain is still working, and it's up to you. It's really up to you to choose if you want to continue living or not. And if you're going to continue living, start certifying your soul. Start certifying yourself as a simple human being. You're simply a human being that deserves love and respect. It really starts with loving and respecting yourself. Very simply, really starts with loving and respecting yourself. You understand? Start loving and respecting yourself, man. You know what I mean? The self-harm stuff gets us nowhere. You understand? It gets us nowhere. We have a lot of us are living in a decent society, if not a decent living situation. You know, if all of us did a little bit, no one has to do a lot. If some of us put our egos to the side, those that win, we can watch and celebrate them and elevate them. You understand? There's people above me in certain situations. Musically, there's certain people above me in certain situations. Boxing wise, there's certain people above me, certain situations. Beyblade wise, content creation wise. You understand? Being a family member wise, you know, things like that. There's people that excel in life better than me. And just because I'm a little bit of everything doesn't mean I'm somebody special. I know I'm no special than the next person, but I know I love myself enough to just really feel that way about myself at times. Not being egotistical, but I'm special enough to be like, hey man, you really apply yourself in everything you do to the best of your ability. You acknowledge that you're not the best, but you understand you're trying your best. And I want people to do the same things for themselves. You can acknowledge that you might not be the best right now. You might be striving to be the best at something, or you know, being the best somebody at something, right? Do you understand? You are not the best right now, but you can admit that you're trying your best in this moment. Michael Jordan is the GOAT. A lot of people say Michael Jordan is the GOAT. But when they asked him a question about who's the GOAT, he said, I mean, if we're talking about statistically, man, it's got to be Oscar Robinson. Oscar Robinson has to be the greatest of all time. So Michael Jordan's GOAT is Oscar Robinson. To some people, Kobe Bryant's the GOAT. To some people, and he looked up to Michael Jordan. That's his GOAT. And some people think LeBron James is the GOAT. LeBron James looked up to a lot of people because he's a student of the game. There's some GOATs before him that he looks up to that he wanted to, do a little more than them. So he kept trying his best. Kept trying his best. Kept trying his best. Check this out, man. We're gonna talk about it today, man. I want people to really start certifying themselves, your existence. Certify your existence. You are not on this planet for no reason. You know what I mean? You don't necessarily have to help people, but help yourself. Help yourself first before anything. But there it is, man. TTH 228. TTH 228. The Truancy Hour. That's what that stands for. TTH. The Truancy Hour 228. 228. So we're on the 28th episode of this University Mindset. Hopefully what I'm saying makes sense and translates to some of you people. You know, you people. All right, here we go. TTH 228, man. Let's keep it real simple, man. Everything is about ultra instinct. Everything is about ultra instinct. Let's break down ultra instinct real quick. For those that never watched it, there's Dragon Ball, there's Dragon Ball Z, there's Dragon Ball Super. But realistically, it's all linearly the same Dragon Ball universe. My thing is this, right? In Dragon Ball Super, Goku is a character who's probably the strongest person in his universe, probably the strongest fighter in his universe, undoubtedly. Goku's the strongest fighter in his universe, but he doesn't necessarily fight with strategy compared to a lot of his other friends and his teammates, if you will. They fight with more strategy because they're not as strong as him. And Goku's the type of person that he'll get into brawls just to have the funness of brawling. And he knows he's going to get stronger afterwards. He knows he's learning, but he's in there to just learn and fight. He's living in the moment. He's very pure hearted. So some people think that like instinctually he's already there, that he can just flow. But a lot of times he does get in his own way because he's thinking about, in the middle of the fights, he'll think about, I want to pull back a little bit so this lasts a little longer. I want to see if I could fight this guy again. I just want to fight the guy. He doesn't even have the intention of necessarily destroying an evil person sometimes. He just enjoys being in the moment fighting. Does that make sense? He doesn't want to kill people. He doesn't have the intention to kill or destroy someone or win in a fight. He just wants to fight. And I've always related to that personally. I was like that in the boxing ring. A lot of my fights that I've lost, a lot of times like the guy would leave with a bloody nose and a ringing head. but it was just like the fact that I was just in there fighting, but I lost on points. So technically, I lost on points. If I was fighting in the manner of points, I would have won, but I was just in the moment fighting these guys. You know what I mean? So a lot of that would be like a professional mindset, but that's a whole nother conversation. The whole point of Goku and with Goku is that he was told, he was like, listen, start trusting your instincts a little more. You're there, but you're not flowing enough. You're in the moment, but you're not flowing. You're still intentionally fighting a certain way because you're intentionally wanting to have fun. This is his form of intention, is he wants to have fun, but you got to let go. You got to let go and flow. He's like, you've already done the training. The reflexes are already there. The muscle memory is already there. It's all already there. You've put the. Does that make sense? If you go to work and you bend your knees, you pick something up, and then you rotate a certain way ergonomically. You do it enough times, the practice is already there. So even if you start speeding up, you can speed up and still have good form and good ergonomics in terms of health, in terms of your own health. So what they tried to teach Goku was like, you already have the training. You train hard and you train very disciplined and very meticulous to some degree. I guess to a high degree, because it's Goku, obviously. Ultra Instinct was pretty much bringing out what his body already knew, what his body was already capable of, and just allowing it to flow. So sometimes there's moments where things would just be, thrown at him, certain punches and stuff. He wasn't thinking about the punches being thrown at him. He was like, and he wasn't also intentionally trying to be in the moment. He was just dodging. His body was just reacting. You understand? His body was reacting, responding, and delivering. My thing with like everything is about Ultra Instinct is that the whole point I'm trying to make, analogy wise, is that everyone puts a certain level of practice and intention for certain things. Shout out to Mars Rover. Mars Rover's in the chat right here. So if you guys see this video, you see that I'm paying attention to the chat. People put a lot of intention into the things they love to do or the things they want to be the greatest at, the best at, whatever that is. Whether you're training in sports, whether you're doing music, whatever it is, there's a level of, you put a lot of intention and learning into what it is that you're trying to master or be the best at, or just simply be the best version of yourself at, right? You see it in cooking too. You do it enough times and you start realizing, yeah, making this pizza is secondhand nature now. Baking these muffins, secondhand nature now. Creating this pasta, cooking this steak a certain way, grilling this stuff, you know what I'm saying? Doing certain things become a secondhand nature because you've done it enough times. You have the muscle memory, you remember it, but there's a certain point with certain things where you almost have to let go. You almost have to let go and just allow certain things to flow. Rappers know this, man. Rappers know this because rappers will sit there and they'll just like, hey, man, you rap enough times, you start realizing you can't do that shit off the top. You can't do that shit in the moment. You can't memorize the stuff that you've written down. I'm one of those. I struggle with that. I struggle with Ultra Instinct in the rap verse, if you will. I've always never been that type of person because I knew, like, the thing is, like, the side note here is like, the background, the neighborhood I grew up in. It's like the reason why I never freestyled is because like I might say something wrong at the wrong time. I might say something illegal that I shouldn't be talking about just because I happen to be around this shit. And like, yeah, I can talk about it, I can rap about it, but I'm like, man, I gotta find a way to purposefully and tactfully say it on wax. Meaning I gotta put that in recording a certain way. Tactfully really delete stuff that is like, you shouldn't be saying all that. You ain't gotta be saying all that, man. That's some hot shit. Take that out. But that's a whole another side note. But people trying to hear that, but I'm not an indicting type person. I ain't doing no fucking what the fuck. I ain't doing no fucking law work. I'm in the library reading books. Hey man, check this out, right? Check this out like this, bro. Everything is about Ultra Instinct. I said going with the flow, but also creating muscle memory intentionally and purposefully. Worst case scenario, you got to understand. Sometimes you're training. Like my coaches used to train me to dodge punches. I got really good at dodging punches and just reading and timing it and all that stuff. I got really good at it. It's really natural and secondhand to me now. And like obviously, like I haven't practiced in a while, so the timing's a little bit off, and like the actual just being in the moment's a little bit off. But you gotta repetitiously do certain things, right? You gotta repetitiously do certain things. Check this out. Some people need to be given orders or simply can't improvise on the spot. I know some dudes, man, they're like former veterans, if you will. Some people are former veterans. And there's some people who actually did tours out at sea, or just out just doing tours, which means they were deployed for about, half a year to a year. They were deployed, man. And a lot of those people need to be given discipline. A lot of people have to operate with discipline, but they don't know how to be in the moment and just realize, like, you know what, man, we've done this enough time. It's time to pull back and relax. They can't help but get shit done. Their form of just like, they can't let go, basically. They don't know how to just flow and allow things to happen. You can tell some people need to always have control of certain things. They can't help but always be in control of certain things. The other aspect of ultra instinct, and I'm using this as a metaphor and analogy, was ultra ego. Ultra ego was technically Vegeta, which is Goku's counterpart, but he's someone who likes to tactfully fight a certain way. This is someone who conquered planets. This is a guy who conquered planets, bro. He's a real, not necessarily a destroyer, but he's on his track to be a destroyer. But he's conquered planets, so he tactfully fights a certain way, and he's a short Saiyan. The race of people he comes from is the Saiyans, and he's a short Saiyan, so he fights a certain way. He's very tactful about dealing with bigger opponents, and even just like conserving his energy and health and his power and timing. He's very intentional, but he's this ultra ego. Some people can't let go of the control. They need to be able to control a thing. They want things to be done a certain way at work. Like I said, I work with these veterans. I work with multiple ones. The ones I worked with at my old hospital job, they were real chill, real chill. They're just like, man, we figured out how to get it done. We started going through the reps. We're getting it all done. So all three of us are ultra instinct. We had one dude who's a hippie, and he was a control freak of all people. But he was on some, I don't know, man. He was on some white man shit. He couldn't help but wanted to be in control of some shit. You know what I mean? He's never won in his life, and this was the first time he's ever been like a lead or promoted to one. So it was kind of goofy. Now, anyway, that thing blowed over the way it needed to. Some people can't let go of the control about it. Some people who hate the control aspect of it, whether it's you being in control or someone else constantly being in control of stuff, you have to even learn how to navigate that. That's something that you learn to practice around too. See, the world itself is like not necessarily going to bend to you. The world bending to you, you know what I mean? It's you having a sense of control too. It's you playing tug of war. There's forms of submission where people are just like, you know what, man, I'm not even going to play with that. You know what? I see the purity in that. I see the love in that. I'm not even going to mess with that. You can exude that. You can exist as that if you want to. If you so choose, that can be an intention, but even that intention has to be a muscle memory. Even those practices have to be a muscle memory. Does that make sense? These are peaceful practices. When you see people have like peaceful practices of just like simply there's an altercation here, learning when to walk away, learning when to say your piece and leave. Like, hey man, I'm just gonna plant the seed of peace right here and just leave and be about my day. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. A lot of people are very intentional with their peace, but that just means that they're trying to have a controlled environment of peace, and that can be very dictatorial, very dictator-like. You're basically dictating. You're dictating peace. You're creating it, and you're trying to control it rather than allowing the peace to just be, allowing the peace to just observe itself and just kind of exist. So it's a tricky conversation because I tell people all the time, like whatever it is you're going for, you have to constantly put the practice, if not the actual work and the effort into it. You understand? And then it'll become secondhand nature. Everything in life is about ultra instinct, man. Whatever it is you want to be, you have to exercise those things. You understand? Some people are naturally very imposing and bully-like. Some people used to say that about me, but I was like, I don't know, man. I'm arguing that I'm very peaceful, but at the same time, I could see how my presence in certain areas does command a certain level of whatever. And I've never understood that because I wanted to get feedback from everyone else, but they're like, no, we'd rather you just tell us what to do. And I'm like, shit. Because I don't like commanding people. I don't like being in charge of people. If I'm being honest, I'm also very scared that I might steer people the wrong way with my form of leadership. So I'm very mindful of that. But it's also something that I'm learning to step into as well. But my practice right now my personal practice is mainly leaning towards sense of peace, calmness. You know what I mean? I've always had a level of peace and calmness, but just understanding that I don't need to surround myself with chaos. I need to really surround myself. Whenever they talk about that samurai, would you rather be a gardener in times of war, or would you rather be like a warrior in a garden? And like, I'm really trying to just be the warrior in the garden right now. That's just kind of where I'm at. Check me out, man. That's what I'm talking about right here. Everything is about ultra instinct. I'm gonna leave it right there. All right. This is another university mindset. This is another Truancy hour. Thank you all for thank y'all for tapping in. Hopefully what I'm saying makes sense. Sometimes I get all over the place. Sometimes I really start getting the ball rolling. And this is what it's going to be about. Every time I do these videos, every time I do this content stuff right here, it's going to look like this. It's going to be like this, man. So hopefully it makes sense to you. Hey, man, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Peace, man. I'm out of here.